Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I am the Clydesdale. We do fitness, and these are my friends. Today we have a special guest, Patrick Clark. What's going on, man?
What's up, Scott?
Writer for the Morning Chalk Up. And for those of you who don't know, he's also a National Guardsman, and he has been called up. So you're on duty right now, right? Well, not on duty, but you're called up right now.
I'm currently AWOL. All for you and your friends. Nah, yeah. I've been called up since God, was it end of March? So yeah, so I've been handling all the logistics while Illinois deals with the COVID-19 response. So yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, we appreciate all you're doing.
Pleasure's all mine.
And so it's been a busy week at the Morning Chalk Up.
I think it's been a busy week across the CrossFit community and outside the CrossFit community. If you been seeing how it's kind of blown up. I mean, I saw the other day that some of the news has been picked up by even like Al Jazeera and the New York Times and CNN. So I think all across the board it's been busy.
So we actually we did an episode a couple nights ago. The minute it hit YouTube, more news broke, of course, because that's the way this week has been. And so we kind of got all the way up until the apology, the statement, the retirement, and the new CEO. So none of that made our episode.
Yeah.
And all that happened like an hour after it posted.
I know how that feels. We're kind of dealing with the same thing. Dealing with it. We have the advantage that we can kind of maybe deal with it a little on real time as opposed to a podcast because obviously there's editing and other things involved. But yeah, it's we're there with you. But like I said, we're getting the news and just like you guys were, and we're just feeding it out. That's kind of where our responsibility is, making sure that just reporting the news.
So my first question to everybody is, Greg Glassman stepped down and retired, and Dave Castro has now been named CEO of CrossFit. And what change do you think that brings to the CrossFit community?
I mean, I think for now, it's a logical choice. It's a good first step. I have no idea what it means. I don't know that anyone could. But I'm okay. Super surprised that Greg stepped down. Didn't think that would happen. We all, that was our pie in the sky solution. If you remember a couple of days ago, we kept saying, best case, he steps down or retires or whatever. So really excited about that and that's a first step, but I definitely think there's a long way to go before some people are going to be satisfied. And I poo-pooed it at first. Like my first reaction, people were all, oh, he's not any better than Greg. And he's, someone said it's like replacing Miley Cyrus with Hannah Montana. And, and I got a chuckle out of that. And I thought about it for a second. And then I got on a couple of affiliate owners for saying like, listen, guys, we just said we wanted him to step down. Now he stepped down and you're all bitching about, the person that's going to be taking over. Like, what do you want? So I just think it's, it's more of the same where people are just having these knee-jerk reactions to what's happening and not just sort of taking a breath and trying to figure out how it's all going to play out. I mean, we're not even like a week into all this. And I think some people have unrealistic expectations that, tomorrow there's going to be some board of directors hired and, everything's going to be in motion and, we can go on with CrossFit as usual. And I don't think that's realistic.
I think it's different from two sides of it. I think you have the elite athlete side of it, and then you have the affiliate owner side of it. Obviously, with things like the Open, it tries to mix the two, but it's really two different things. I think I don't know for sure, but it feels like the Dave Castro hire is a lot of the athletes know him who've been to the games and have interacted with him. And so it seems like, okay, you guys are leaving. Whoa, don't leave. Here's a guy let's bring him in. But from the affiliate side, I think it's a different perspective of, okay, well, now we're just doing the same thing we've been doing. So
I think both you guys bring up very good points. Very similar to what I feel. Would I have picked Dave? Probably not. But I think the person that I would have chose resigned the night before, and Nicole Carroll. I thought she would have been a better choice if you were having to pick a CEO, because I think she's an all-encompassing. I'm not saying Dave isn't all-encompassing, but we know Dave as the games director. And yes, he shares, at the time, he was sharing the training and seminar responsibility with Nicole. But I just feel like she just would have been a better choice. But granted, we can sit here and play that game. The end of the day, it ended up being Dave. Now, Dave does have a really good connection with the affiliates, but his connection's through the games. That's how he did it. So you take Dave away from the games involvement. What type of manager, what type of person is he? I don't know. Only a few people know that. Dave's a very private person. He keeps his friends close, his enemies closer. So just like Kat said, I mean, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, Greg Glassman still has 100% control of that company. That's. I mean, we've all heard it. Now it's just kind of wait and see.
Right. I think that's a huge point, right? Greg still owns 100% of the company, as far as we know it from the outside. We don't know what negotiations have happened about his controlling interest, whatever that is. And I was reminded today that this happened like 7 years ago. Greg stepped down. Essentially, Dave ran CrossFit for a couple years. And then during that time, the games went way up and CrossFit training went way down, at least domestically. I'm with you too, Patrick, on the Nicole Carroll thing, right? One thing that I think has been lacking from CrossFit for 5 years has been communication. Nicole Carroll is a gem of an orator and is a great communicator. I could not say that about Dave Castro. I know he has a passion for CrossFit and what goes on with the methodology and the saving of lives and the games and all of that. But Nicole is such an eloquent communicator. I think that was an opportunity missed.
I mean, Dave can't even give us clear clues for the open workouts. I mean, how's he going to run? How's he going to talk to affiliates, right?
Yeah, an important announcement from CrossFit. There's a pitchfork and a
loaf of bread,
mound of dirt, and yeah.
Get a chance. Fluffy Duck. He has an awesome. He has an awesome post about that. It's pretty hilarious. So I recommend checking out that post that Fluffy Duck had up. So.
No, but whoever made the point about too, I don't think, at least affiliate owners don't have a sense of what kind of a leader Dave is. You know, they see his persona at the games, which I don't think is necessarily a fair representation of his leadership abilities. And so I think the jury's still out in terms of, you know, I don't know that anybody except people in that inner circle have a feeling one way or the other that's valid on how he's going to handle that or manage it.
I think
go ahead, Pat.
I think from a leadership standpoint, you're right. We don't really know what type of leadership style outside of what he puts out there, but I think we kind of do because one, we know his military background. You know, so for him to be an instructor for Buds, it shows he has leadership at some level. Now, obviously, the Navy SEALs and the CrossFit community and dealing with affiliate owners and stuff, it's totally different. But then the other example I give of Dave's leadership is you look at, Kat, you probably know this. Look at the head judges. I mean, look at these people like the Chuck Carswells who, you know, they swear by Dave. They follow Dave. They've learned from Dave. A lot of these, flow masters we called. They're all not, I won't say direct products of them, but they're a sign of his leadership. And obviously most of them are people that we think very highly of in the CrossFit community, especially someone like Chuck Carswell. And I think his leadership style is a direct reflection of what he learned from Dave.
Yeah, that's true. And Todd and all those guys. Yeah, they're boss.
Now, how that translates into dealing with affiliate owners and the community, we don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, like we've all said, it's kind of wait and see.
Well, let's take a step back. Do you remember when Dave was traveling before the 18 shakeup, when he was traveling around the world and he would visit 3 boxes a day?
Yep.
That's what someone needs to do right now, because there is a lot of people that need mending. And that kind of barn busting tour showed that he cared enough to stop in and talk to affiliate owners and talk to members and see what's going on at the front level.
Yeah, that was very powerful when that happened. And I wasn't an affiliate owner at the time, but I worked at one, and that was a cool prospect. Like, oh, I wonder where Dave's going to show up next. How do we get him to come here?
And so it shows he cares. He cares about the affiliates, the locations, and what they're doing, because he took the time to do that. I think he has the potential to be a good leader and to take CrossFit in a great place. But I think other things definitely have to happen for him to be successful. Right now, the way it stands, I think he's a little handcuffed. I think we need to see steps 2, 3, and 4 to see if he's actually given the opportunity.
I think you had a good point when you're talking about like the head judges and everything. It's going to also depend on who he puts around him, and kind of what that looks like to, because a lot of times when you guys have people who are at the head, it's about who's under him and who's actually pulling all the strings and everything else. So if he can get Nicole back, or if he can get, someone else that we don't know, maybe it's I don't know. But, that'll be a telling tale of what it looks like as well.
I do want to promote something too. We're not the only podcasters out there or video bloggers or any of that. Arm & Hammer had Jordan Holland on his latest episode. And if you have not seen that, it is a must-see video blog. Jordan is a Black affiliate owner in Seattle, Washington. He has been an affiliate owner for 13 years. I was blown away with his thought process and the ideas of what can be done to help make CrossFit more diverse. Definitely a must watch. It's about 40 minutes long, but definitely worth the 40 minutes you put into that one. Even Armin, Armin was kind of like, oh my gosh, that's another amazing idea. And he was hoping that other affiliate owners kind of saw that and could hook up with him to kind of make a difference in diversity.
I think Kat brought up a good point about, she mentioned like Dave traveling around the world or to all these different affiliates and basically going back to like a grassroots program. I think that's an excellent opportunity, not only just to do that, but using that opportunity to reach out to, boxes and that are owned by minorities, and also a great opportunity to start looking around at possible locations. Maybe I think CrossFit maybe needs to start sponsoring boxes in an inner city, or where there's a lack of diversity, because it's hard to own a box to begin with, but to start a box and open one up in the inner city or in certain areas that are hit with poverty, it's hard to do that. So, I mean, you said you brought up that was an idea I heard, but we have this term in the military called the good idea fairy. And been hearing a lot of that lately. And that's great. That's showing that people really care. And a lot of these ideas are amazing. However, an idea is only a thought. We need action. So what are people doing? Is CrossFit actually listening to these ideas? Is there someone there gathering these ideas, or is CrossFit going to do what they did in the past, where they were just going to stick with what they came up with and not consult with people outside of HQ? They did put up a good front. I mean, I don't know if it's a front, but during the whole COVID-19, when Greg was meeting, doing Zoom meetings with a bunch of affiliate owners for the last 3 months. But what actions came out of that, we don't know. I mean, we don't know if there was. Maybe it was just him listening. We all know Greg has an ego and he likes to talk. So maybe that was a chance for him to do that, because he wasn't, because of COVID-19 and stay-at-home orders, he wasn't getting out and doing what he normally does to massage his ego. But plenty of great ideas out there. Now we just got to capture them as a community, not just as a community, but it's HQ that the leaders, they're ultimately the ones that everyone's going to follow. So they're the ones that need to capture these. They're the ones that need to implement them.
Yeah. Jordan had this idea. It was a brilliant idea. It's like you said, it's hard to open up a box in any location, right? To open one up in where it's needed in the inner city is even harder, because the economic base isn't there to support the business. And what Jordan said is, I'm a business owner first, right? I have to, if I can't keep my business open, all the good I'm doing is for naught, because it's going to close. And so he had an idea of, it's like a coaching share plan, where like he would donate 8 hours of coaching time on his payroll for a coach to go work at an inner city gym. And if he could get 5 other gyms to come in and donate 8 hours of their coaching time and keep on their payroll, you could make a difference. So that's just one of the ideas that came from Jordan on the Arm & Hammer podcast or video blog today. And if you want to check that out, he even has more. Because I love when people come with solutions and not just complain about the problem. So a lot's happened. We had a statement from CrossFit saying, why didn't we react more quickly? I think was the title of it. Very long, thought out, eloquently written statement. I'll go ahead and start on this one. I felt that in most of it, it was pretty genuine, that they admitted that they screwed up. They could have done better. The only part that kind of turned me off is whenever someone tries to explain their actions in an apology, it loses a little bit of ground for me. And so, when they go into, as someone who's trying to find the truth, we want to make sure everything is perfectly factual, and we applied that to something that didn't need that much time, and blah, blah. It's explaining away why you didn't react. And I think it takes a little bit away from just genuinely being sorry and apologetic. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty good effort on an apology, but at this point, I think it's just words, and we need to see the action.
Yeah, it kind of felt like we got to put something out here because people are saying things, and maybe if no one would have reacted, I don't know if they would have put anything out. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's really, it really felt like I know we have to say something. We've waited long enough. So here it is.
And I know that the point's been made that they never said Black Lives Matter in the statement, which was something that they wanted, that people were asking HQ to make a statement on. And even in the apology, they didn't say those 3 words. Any thoughts?
At some point, like I said, you're right. You hit on it in terms of that statement. There's a point where an apology becomes excuses. And as they kept on writing, as I kept on reading, it started turning into excuses and not an apology. Especially that they can come up with something like that in a matter of 24 hours what should have been done or could have been done the previous 48 hours or week. Where was that before? If you could put that much effort when your company and when your livelihood's on the line, why, it just shows the lack of, I wouldn't say lack of leadership, because from what I understand, it's like, the reason why something wasn't put out. And I think Glassman said it a couple times. He, everything goes through him. And, I know some of those people at HQ. I know some of them personally, and he mentioned something, his comment about we don't mourn George Floyd. I know that that's a lie. That's a lie, because you can't tell me that some of those people there weren't mourning that. I mean, there's examples of it on some of those people's own Instagram pages where they were mourning. So it just shows the lack of reality and the power that he had, where he almost ruled with an iron fist. Well, didn't say almost, he did. He still does. He owns 100% of the company. He still owns it. A CEO is nothing but a manager.
Right.
And, but yeah, I think it was well written, but again, it sounded like more like an excuse than an apology.
So Kat and I actually just got off a Zoom call with all the affiliate owners. There was a 9-person panel. It was facilitated by Pat Sherwood, who is still currently employed by CrossFit HQ. There was Rich Froning, Chris Smith Jr., Annie Sakamoto, Chris Spieler, Jennifer Hunter, Jonathan Kinnick, Carrie Ann Athens, and David Osario. That was the panel. I learned a lot. I learned a ton in that 90-minute call, and it went every minute of the 90 minutes. They got 1,000 questions sent in to be asked during that call. They took them and kind of thematically drilled them down to about 5 or 6 questions for each of them. And the big question was, what needs to happen? So let me start out. All of these members in this panel are 10-year affiliates or more. They're all very well known, and I guess that's what you need to know. And and almost all of them have said they were going to de-affiliate or have already de-affiliated. And so they were asked, what needs to happen for you to come back or to stay with CrossFit going forward? And they were very blunt and honest. And it included really 3 main themes. One is that Greg needs to be no part of CrossFit at all. Because they all are like, we've been burned before. This is not the first time that he has stepped down, and he has constantly come back. And so Rich Froning even said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm not going down that road again.
Yeah, and it was really around fiscal ownership. Like, I don't want to give Greg any more of my money, and I don't want him behind any decisions that are made.
And they all believe that this is a death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's not over last weekend's event. It is stuff that has been going on for 5 to 7 years. And they really believe that while Greg, and this is an Annie Sakamoto quote, while Greg breathed life into CrossFit, we nurtured it and helped it grow. In despite of Greg Glassman, because we were always defending his actions. And they were visibly and very upset in this call. The second thing was that there needs to be a board of directors, that this is not a one-man show anymore. The business has grown too big for someone to, and this is my paraphrasing, to be a dictator over what happens with CrossFit. There needs to be checks and balances in place at all levels. I think those were really the two big themes, right, Kat? Am I missing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it too.
So you were on it too, Patrick?
Yeah, I was off and on, but that was just generally what I got out of it too.
Yeah, and they were pretty adamant that if they were still putting money in Greg Glassman's pocket, it was a no-go for them. And I was really surprised at how vehement they were. And it really felt like years of frustration kind of have boiled up, and they were really, really upset. I can't say that enough. I was so surprised. I've never seen Rich that vehement about something like this.
When he mentioned his daughter and her playing and had a CrossFit Kid shirt on, and it upset him. That really struck a chord with me, because if anyone knows Rich, it's like he's about family and faith and CrossFit. I mean, all that's encompassing. And when you mentioned that was a powerful statement by him, because he for him to look at his family, his child, his daughter, and then see something that he loves and nourish in terms of CrossFit and his child, and then still get a different a feeling, a reaction like that. It really struck a chord with me. Like I said, I don't have any kids, but I can only imagine. But yeah, I thought it was a very good call. I think having Pat on there and having him still affiliated with CrossFit is a good sign, because, like I said before, who's writing down that call, there was a lot of great ideas. So again, the good idea fairy was abundant in that call. But at least Pat was there, and he was obviously the call was being recorded. So that shows me something. It shows me that Pat maybe, like I said, I don't want to assume anything, but he's obviously still a part of it. He still is someone that Dave trusts, and he trusts Dave, and this is a good sign, I think.
Well, Mo from Beyond the Whiteboard at the very end, I don't know if you were on at the end, said that Dave knew the call was going on, and that requested a recording of the call so he could review it to see what he needs to do as CEO to make the changes. And so that's a good sign if he's willing to listen. Now it's word, like I said, everything is just words at this point. I think we need to see action to know that something's truly being done. But yeah, I hope the most optimistic point of the call, and you guys can jump in if you think anything else, is that all but one of the gyms said that their door was cracked open to coming back. And they don't want to lose the community. To a person, the last thing they want to happen is to lose this community, because we are stronger as a group than we're going to be separated.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they are willing to fight to keep that community, but there are just a couple things that have to happen for them to stay on board.
Right. And for now, they're just at arm's length. That's really kind of where they are. They're there, but not there. I want to talk a little bit about, and I think that's the call today was really insightful, and I'm, happy to be a part of it, and glad that things are at least seem to be moving forward in the direction of, here's what we need, and let's present them to Dave and see what happens. But anybody have any insight in the call yesterday that no one could register for, the Ben Bergeron call? Nothing.
All I've seen is there really was no call.
Okay.
That he came on and said Rory is no longer here. There's been a bombshell, and you guys will find out in the next X amount of time. It was like 15 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that.
It was like 15.
And
What?
that's all that was said. And people were still writing on social media, like, what was the bombshell? Like, it's well after 15 minutes.
Yeah,
So that call never really happened then.
He pretty much said, there's nothing really we can talk about now because things are changing. So there's no real point to having this call.
I don't doubt that, but I don't think. Oh, hi.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any insight on that, unfortunately. Obviously, if we did, we probably would have put something out. Um, so knowing Rory and knowing Ben, especially Rory, it was something that they thought obviously that would play a part in whatever they were going to sit there and talk about. Because obviously the whole point of that was to sit down with the affiliate and speak, talk about the state of CrossFit and stuff like that. So whatever happened or whatever news they had was obviously something that could play a big part in whatever conversation that was for them to say that. And for nothing else to come out after that, it's probably something that's, well, everyone's, as a journalist, we got criticized a lot this week, like about like, how come you weren't reporting on this and that? It's all about gathering information. So, when you get something that's potentially a bomb or, something that can impact, you want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row and you want to make sure that you're right. So I don't know what it was. I'm completely in the dark with that. Unfortunately, I wish I knew. But in my opinion, it's probably something big. And if you haven't heard anything, it's probably because whoever has this information is trying to figure it out and make sure it's the right information.
Yeah, I mean, I have a million things going through my head that it could be involving those people. But I don't want to speculate.
Who was on that panel, Scott? Do you remember?
The only two people I knew were Rory and Ben.
Oh, okay.
Rory was going to facilitate and Ben was going to talk.
Yeah.
And it was like a town hall. So it was more like people could ask questions of Ben. But I don't know. And then we had a weird situation where one of the major affiliate owners has started a business of kind of creating his own affiliate program.
There's a couple of them. Did you see Dave Lipson?
I did not.
He put out something on his story. I don't know if he was serious or not, but it was like anarchy affiliation. Oh, Siri heard me. Hold on. Sorry, Siri. I wasn't talking to you. Yeah, so him and Jason Khalipa. So Jason Khalipa came out and sort of doubled down on this whole opportunity. And, and he's been doing this for a while anyway. I know there are a lot of affiliates in my area, just in Delaware here, that are NC Fit gyms, that follow the programming and all that kind of stuff. And I guess pay some kind of a fee to him for that. So yeah, that's interesting. That causes a noticeable rift, and division that, I'm not sure how that'll pan out.
Yeah, he got a lot of flack on that in social media. But you know what I love about Jason? If you look back at what we posted, what he posted on his own page, and every comment he replied to. And
yeah. I didn't even know he was still an affiliate. I assumed when he changed his name to NC Fit that he was already unaffiliated. So when he came out with I'm de-affiliating, I was kind of like, whatever. I assumed he had years ago.
Well, that's something that was, I think, in the works, and this kind of expedited that. And one thing, if you ever read Jason's book, he's not where he's at. He got where he's at because he's a very smart man. He's a very good businessman, and I think part of what makes him a good businessman is that he listens. And like I said, I was really impressed. Like even the people that ripped on him. I mean, there were some very, very, very troubling comments people were directing to him, and he replied to him. It's like, hey, if you want to talk about this, DM me. And if you don't know this about Jason, if you DM him and you send him a message, he's gonna reply. He looks through all his DMs and he replies. And he offered that up with everyone that disagreed with him or anyone that had an opinion. And that's the type of stuff that you didn't see from CrossFit on any of their social media. If you're more likely to get blocked than them replying to you.
So that begs another question then, Patrick, too. We're talking about the media, and has the lack of media in the last few years from CrossFit directly been any kind of factor in sort of the mob mentality of CrossFit and their character and everything else? Like, has that hurt them that
yeah.
they got rid of all that media, and that people don't really know about all the good stuff that they're doing unless they read the email they get every night that starts with, some article about words I can't even pronounce, that I just sort of don't even open anymore. But, I know when Savan had his podcast, and when there was just a lot going on with social media, and Matt Bishel did a good job of, keeping everybody connected. I felt like we as a community knew a little more, had a little more insight into what was happening at HQ. And since that's sort of gone away, the only thing we can react to is Greg Glassman and his tweets. Right? Like, we don't have anything else to sort of dilute that.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think it's kind of it's a weird thing, because obviously when CrossFit had their own media department, they were able to control the media. So you very rarely saw anything that was questionable. I mean, obviously if they had their own media department, all this happened, do you think they would have reported on themselves? And I mean, because of something like that, it's given opportunities out to people like the Morning Chalk Up, and even, podcasters and yourselves as well. But I think if they would have still had that media, obviously you would have had a lot of people who are PR savvy, know how to approach things. However, it goes back to how much influence they have on Greg and what he says. Because obviously when it comes down to it, Greg is Greg. If he doesn't agree with what you say, he's going to get rid of you, or he's going to say whatever he wants to say anyways. Mm-hmm. But I think not having that media department there to tell the good stuff, to reach out, to tell those stories. I was a paid member of the CrossFit Journal. I enjoyed
So was I.
I loved it. When Savan came out that podcast, I thought it was great, because it kind of peeled away that curtain a little bit. Yep. It almost got an inside look on what was going on. And he brought on, he's one of the first to bring in, high quality or high, just not athletes, but just in the sport, just in the CrossFit realm. And he did a great job with that. And so when that went away, it created opportunity. But, seeing all that stuff go away, I think it definitely hurt CrossFit. I mean, not just the media, but some of the other people that were laid off or fired as well. It hurt CrossFit. Them having Jeff Kane resign, that hurt CrossFit. It wasn't a good look when the CEO resigns. Anytime a CEO resigns and it's not for something controversial, it's not a good look. It's especially when the owner assumes that CEO responsibility.
And I think that's why people are gun shy right now. It was just 7 months ago that Jeff Kane resigned.
Yes.
So Greg's only been CEO for 7 months again. Mm-hmm. And so stepping down from CEO, what does that really mean?
Nothing. It just means that, there's things behind there that the CEO probably doesn't have control over, and it's frustrated. Either that or he's forced out. Who knows? Obviously when there's a resignation like that, there's certain things they can and cannot say with the NDA. And, Greg has some of the best lawyers when it comes to stuff like that, so, you probably won't ever hear this side of that, or anything that's going on now. I doubt we'll ever hear the real side of the story with Nicole. For her to resign like that, it kind of brings up questions. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not going to throw those out there. I'll leave that for Greg. Yeah.
Another thing I think that we've been missing for a while is when Greg de-emphasized the games, right? Got rid of all the media, and then refused to have the games on network television, ESPN or CBS or whoever that might be. In the early days of CrossFit, for me, it was inspiring, because at every commercial, I would see a 70-year-old Black woman deadlifting for the first time and telling her story about going into a CrossFit gym. That was the one time a year the affiliates got some really good publicity and advertising, because those stories in the commercials weren't about the elite athletes. It was about the four of us and what we did to walk into a gym. And when Greg said, no, we're not going on network television, that took away a lot of eyes of people who might get to see those commercials for the first time. I mean, adaptive athlete commercials, letting an adaptive person know that it's possible to go work out again.
Yeah, I think Greg let his desire to not sort of sell out and not sort of like steer towards the power and money side of things is probably why he didn't do that. And I think while he thought that was probably virtuous, I think he shot himself in the foot and missed that opportunity. But I kind of understand, just knowing a little bit about him, like why he wouldn't have done that, because he really felt like the health piece was more important. And he probably just didn't see the correlation or see how somebody sitting on their couch needing to lose 100 pounds would look at the CrossFit Games and think that's for me. And I know I disagree. I think that's how a lot of people get in the gym. And I think those commercials that we used to see, like in regionals during the broadcasts and things, were really quite moving. But I think for him, it was more about the principle of not like selling out to mainstream media, which is unfortunate because I think they missed an opportunity there.
And that right there speaks to what the issue is. It's one man's beliefs then dictate what the entire community gets.
Yep. And he's got, strong opinions about a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
So I think the most we've gotten out of the last couple of weeks is knowing that this is a very fluid time for CrossFit. And I think what I learned on the affiliate call today is that, kind of like take the morning chalk ups suggestion and just sit back and take a breath. We're not going to get an answer from HQ if they are putting together a real solid plan to keep the affiliates and to move forward in a new direction. There's no way they can put that together in the last 48 hours. That's going to be a week or two. We have to be fair to them and give them the time to put something together that's meaningful and not just words.
I would agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's got to happen. It's definitely something that's got to happen quick. You're right. Not in the next 48 hours, but within the next week or so, because I think they're missing an opportunity here. Obviously, every day that they wait or they don't come up or don't voice a plan, they're losing money and they're losing credibility, especially with sponsors. So I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that platform for them to do that is the 2020 games. Bringing back some of the stuff that you talked about that we missed, to bring those sponsors and brands back. And once you start bringing them back, the affiliates will start coming back as well. It works both ways. But you're not going to be able to fix the affiliate problem immediately. But you can fix the branding and your message immediately, because it's already there. All you got to do is re-engage it.
Right.
The affiliates will be different, because what this has shown is that there's a lot of differing opinions out there from affiliates. There's some people that don't think there was a problem in CrossFit, that there wasn't a diversity issue in CrossFit. And there's some that think that they still think that Greg is what he said there was no problem with it. And those are coming from affiliates. Those are coming from affiliate owners. Those are coming from CrossFitters. So, that has to be addressed, but that's not going to happen overnight. But bringing back what hurts you in terms of losing money from affiliates, I mean, who knows what the financial implications of what Greg did over the course of 72 hours, what it did, those long-term effects. They might get that all back, or they might not.
Yeah. And they were already losing money anyway with the whole COVID thing, because, they were giving people breaks and, breaking out monthly payments or deferring monthly payments for affiliates and things like that. So
Having seminars.
Right. Yeah. No seminars. It's kind of crazy.
It'll be telling. I think unless something happens between now and then, I think what you'll see is the Open will actually be a pretty good indication of what happened, like how much this hurt. Obviously Open numbers went down, but there was a lot of excuses for that because there was 2 Opens in 1 year. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this year's Open. I think that'll be a really good, because that'll probably be within, when is that? That's like 5 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives them 5 months to figure out what's going on.
I think we're going to see a lot of people videotaping their entries because they're not going to be doing the Open at a CrossFit affiliate anymore. Or you're going to have an influx of members that jump ship from, their non-affiliated gym to their affiliated gym, the diehards that really want to, who are never going to go to the CrossFit Games, but need apparently to be in a CrossFit affiliate to do the Open and be on the leaderboard. That's going to be an interesting social, exercise to observe. Assuming, there's still a bunch of people in limbo, with affiliating or not.
Well, let's wrap that up with a bow and end with some good news. We get a CrossFit competition to watch this weekend.
Yay! My calendar is blocked.
Live streamed. We can all watch.
Can't wait.
40 athletes from around the world? 39 now.
39. Good old Matt.
So has it been is going to be all 40 up on the screen at the same time?
No,
We figured that out yet?
No, it's going to
10.
10 at a time.
Yeah, 10-person heats, but they're going to go from place to place. I don't think you're not going to see like a Zoom call of.
There'll be a little bit of production on the spot there, I would hope.
Gotcha.
I just can't wait. It's going to be fun.
So Rogue Invitational this weekend. I know, Patrick, you're just finished up a preview for it.
I'm actually I actually took time off to jump on with you guys I was just about to wrap it up.
And so it's going to be in tomorrow's morning checkup?
Yes. Yep. It shall.
So give you a little pub there. Get your morning chalk up first thing in the morning. Check out what the competition is going to look like this weekend and get Patrick's preview on that. I'm just excited to have some competition and get to take a little breath away from the drama for a couple days and just relax.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm curious to know what everyone's going to be wearing. If people are going to be making statements, social statements with their wardrobe choices, or are they going to be, is anyone going to be putting duct tape over the word CrossFit on their shirts? And it'll just, I can't wait.
The guys don't wear shirts anyway.
Well, that's true.
So I do, from an inside source, Rogue is allowing the athletes to make any statements they wish to make.
Cool. So are there going to be interviews with the winning athletes for each event? You know how they do at the end of each event, and we're here with the winner. Is there going to be somebody with a microphone at all of the locations to be able to do something like that?
I do not know.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, there won't be someone with a microphone, but they'll have the ability to talk. I think the Iron Game.
Oh, got it. So there's someone on the other end asking the questions.
Sean or Chase, or I forgot who else is on there, but they'll be able to talk. Yeah, Margot, someone like that. They'll be able to correspond with those athletes. But I mean, that could change. From I heard, it's multi-cam. They'll have more than one camera at each location. So not only just from a entertainment value, but also for a judging value for any appeals or anything like that. So they'll actually have a video review judge who will be able to answer any appeals or help out with anything that the judges on site have any difficulties with.
I can't wait. I'm super excited.
Yeah, those judges.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, Charlie, you're the only non-judge on this thing.
I know.
That's how I met Patrick. Patrick and I judged together at the regionals in 2018.
I think that's how I met. That's how I met Kat.
Yeah, I met Kat. I met Patrick. We met at Rogue, I think.
Yep.
Last year.
Yeah. Actually,
or at MAC. Were you at MAC?
No, Atlantic Regional 2018.
I did not judge, but I was there watching.
You were there. I thought I met you there. I don't know, but yeah, it was MAC and then Rogue.
Yeah.
So,
Can't
Yeah, I'm
wait.
disappointed we didn't get to all get together at Rogue and hang out for a weekend.
Yeah, it
But
would've
at
been
least we
fun.
get a competition tomorrow.
And I wore my Granite
Or
Game
Friday,
shirt.
Sunday, Saturday.
I got
Well, my
that
Granite
Granite
Game
game today, and I was like sad tear.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
were
I
all
was really
supposed to
looking
be there
forward-
this weekend.
I know. I was looking forward to that, seeing how that venue. I mean, from everything I heard, it was like obviously it's loud and live, so they do things loud and live. So,
It'll-
yeah, it would have been fun. I was really looking forward to that. Plus, I didn't have to drive to St. Cloud, so
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was so stoked for that.
yeah, it's an easy flight from St. Louis to Minneapolis. So
I'm a
Yeah.
Bears fan, but just an NFL practice facility, it would have
Yeah,
to be
super cool.
awesome.
All right, next year. Road trip.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for jumping on, Patrick. We appreciate you.
anytime.
Check out his work every morning in the morning chalk up. I know I do. We love what you guys put out there. I know you guys took a couple hits this week,
That happened.
but we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks.
And we'll see you next time on the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends.
See ya.